Hello and welcome to the faculty interview series at Hofstra Law School. I'm Krista McMahon. Today I'm with Professor Amy Stein, Professor of Legal Writing, Coordinator of the Legal Writing Program, and Assistant Dean for Adjunct Instruction. Let's start by talking about this newest trend in legal education, skills-based classes, and how legal writing at Hofstra fits into how we're educating our students to become better lawyers.
Absolutely. A few years ago, the Carnegie Report in Education came out, and the Carnegie Report talked about how we really have to move beyond just teaching legal doctrine in the classroom and teach what's really known as practical lawyering skills. How is it we can move our students from the classroom into the workplace effectively? And what that meant is law schools really started to put an emphasis more on this skills-based training. But frankly, the legal writing program at Hofstra had really been ahead of the curve on that. From the very beginning, we've had a program that's really geared very much towards teaching these practical lawyering skills. Our students draft motions, draft briefs. We give them experiences working with clients, actually, where they get to pretend that they're dealing with an actual client and experiencing that. The other thing is we have an appellate oral argument in the second semester where they argue to a panel of judges, which is also a wonderful experience and a real highlight, a real capstone of the first year of law school. Many students tell me after the oral arguments that it's the first time they can say they really felt like a lawyer. And those are actually real judges or actually practicing lawyers. And it's a wonderful experience because they give the students so very much information and background about what it is to really practice and how they did in relation to how a real lawyer would do in that situation. And I'm always very proud of our students because these are often very experienced appellate lawyers who say, "You did just as well as many lawyers I've seen over the years." And that's always really gratifying to hear.
Do you think that employers are looking for graduating students, young lawyers who already have legal writing skills as opposed to training them on the job?
Oh, that goes without saying. Very interesting. You know, with the downturn in the current legal market, clients have told many law firms, including big law firms, we're not willing to pay for on-the-job training for junior associates anymore. Some of the larger law firms have even actually started not billing first-year associates' time back to clients. It's very, very clear that law firms need associates who come in ready, willing, and able to work as associates, and they don't have the luxury of being trained on the job. Very interestingly, a few years ago, a student of mine was up for a federal court clerkship with a district court judge, and the judge calls me up and says, "Amy, I know he's a nice guy. Everybody likes him. Everybody's told me that. I need to know, can he write?" I said, "Well, he's such a wonderful young man." He said, "Amy, I know all that. Can he write?" And that was such an interesting, illuminating moment for me because it made me realize how truly important legal writing is. One of the things that I tell our students repeatedly is, you've got to learn legal writing because legal writing is more than writing, it's also reasoning. If you can read cases and understand them and then put that down on paper, then you understand what it is the function of a lawyer really is. And all lawyers write. Obviously, litigation attorneys write a ton because they're going to court. But the point is, whatever you do as a lawyer, you're writing. If you're drafting a contract, you're writing. If you're drafting an opinion letter, you're writing. So to think that only litigation attorneys write is really a fallacy. And the basic writing and reasoning skills you learn in the legal writing classes truly will carry you throughout your legal career.
Do you think that entering law school students realize how much writing is a part of being a lawyer before they come to law school?
A lot of students during the course of the first year will come to me and say they're surprised by the amount of writing that they're doing, but they're really enjoying it because they feel that through the writing, they're really starting to become a lawyer. They're starting to learn a different way of thinking, a different way of reasoning, a different way of presenting the material that makes them realize law is a different discipline, different than anything they've done before, and they're entering this group, you know, enjoying that.
So I understand that in May we're hosting a legal writing conference here at Hofstra. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited about that. Legal writing teachers have always prided themselves on being excellent in the classroom, having excellent teaching skills. And that's because what they teach is, in fact, so unique. We have a lot of one-on-one contact with our students. Every assignment they write is individually conferenced with a professor. The classes tend to be very hands-on. So legal writing teachers are very interested in going to national and regional conferences and learning how to teach law students effectively. There are a number of annual national legal writing conferences and annual regional conferences, but surprisingly, there was really nothing in the New York area. So what happened was a few of the legal writing professors from some of the upstate and downstate schools got together and thought it would be a great idea to have a New York State Empire State Regional Legal Writing Conference. So we're billing this the first annual Empire State Legal Writing Conference because we're putting a lot of pressure on the people on the committee to make sure that there's a second annual going forward. And we have put together a fantastic slate of speakers. We have about 35 to 40 speakers, both established speakers, people very well established in the field, and those who are much newer to legal writing, who are really trying to build their reputations, get more experienced at presenting, etc. And the focus of the conference, we're calling it Spotlight on Teaching. And our goal is that every single person who leaves the conference has at least one or two really fantastic ideas to take back to their classroom with them. So it should be a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
Great. And just back to the trend piece a little bit, what are some of the other practical skills that law students should have before they enter the workplace full-time?
I think that's really a fantastic question, and I think it's a question that goes well beyond the legal writing arena. Hofstra has a fantastic array of skills courses in a bunch of different areas. And I always encourage students to take courses beyond the basic courses in their areas of interest. For example, I'm delighted to teach some of the advanced discovery courses. I teach a written discovery course as well as a deposition course, and these are totally hands-on courses. They're basically 2.5-day courses where students come in and they do. If you know you want to be a litigation attorney, what you do with these courses is you get a case file. Literally, it's a sexual harassment case. You read the case, and you actually prepare discovery demands. You work in law firms. You get critiqued by the professor. You go back and revise them. You actually have to negotiate with your adversary. And if you can't reach a result with your adversary, there's actually another faculty member who acts as a magistrate and will actually rule on the discovery dispute. So this gives students a real taste of what it would be like in the real world, what it would really be like if they were litigating a case. The other thing is the discovery course that I teach, students actually get to meet a paid actor who serves as their client, and they have to prepare their client for the deposition, and then they actually depose the adversary's client and vice versa. And it's a wonderful opportunity. Students walk away from it and they say they really feel like they've gained something they're going to use in practice. And you know, that's something I always tell students. You know, you can never forget that you represent a real client, a real person who's coming to you for resolution with a problem. I always liken it to how you feel when you go to the doctor's office. I know when I'm sitting there in the room waiting for the doctor to come in, I'm really nervous. I have a pit in my stomach. I want the outcome to be what I want it to be. And what I tell students is you need to realize that when people come to you, that's how they feel and that's what they're looking for. And it's very, very important never to lose sight of that. One of the reasons why I think these skills courses, which Hofstra offers in such abundance, are so important is because it really brings that home to students. I have an obligation, not only an ethical obligation, but really a moral obligation to this client to get the best result I can for them. And I think it's so critical that students learn that early on because I think it'll make them not only better lawyers, but more compassionate and caring lawyers.
Great. And finally, you've been here about 10 years now?
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your experience here at Hofstra Law and what makes it different than maybe other law schools?
Well, the one thing I can tell you is the students are getting younger. I'm not getting older. But the other thing I can tell you is, you know, what's wonderful about Hofstra is its students and its faculty. You know, any law school obviously is composed of bricks and mortar. But far more important than that, I think, is what goes on within the walls of the law school. And, you know, Hofstra Law School has a vibrant faculty, a faculty who cares so much about the students. You know, students get to know faculty members well because the faculty members want to know the students well. I think that's especially true for our legal writing faculty because we're lucky enough that we get to have our students for the entirety of the first year, not just for one semester. So I really feel close to my students. I mean, I have students I had in my first or second year of teaching who come back now to judge the oral arguments that I do with my first year students. I have students who keep in touch with me and send me their wedding pictures and baby pictures. You know, you really form these kinds of bonds. That to me is immensely rewarding. And I think our students are terrific. You know, I think the statistic is that more than half of law students have gone and worked before they've come to law school. So we have a group of students who've done some very, very interesting things. And I always say the day I stop learning from my students is the day that I stop teaching. You know, we have students who've had very varied experiences and they contribute so much in the classroom, so much to, you know, me personally in one-on-one conversations. And frankly, I feel that I'm lucky to have the privilege to teach such a terrific group of young people who really want to go forth into the world and, you know, practice and be excellent ethical lawyers.
Professor Stein, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. For more information about Hofstra Law School, please visit law.hofstra.edu.